Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is immigration attorney Moumita. I'm coming to you live to talk about immigration and to see what you may have on your minds today. Thank you for joining. And my topic for today will be, is your U.S. citizen spouse threatening to take your kids away? Is your U.S. citizen spouse or resident spouse using your kids as a ways of controlling you and making you feel fearful about your immigration status? Before I dive into this very special topic today, I'd like to thank you for being here with me and also tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I am an immigration lawyer. I have been an immigration lawyer for the past 11 years. And it is my pleasure to do the work that I do because I firmly believe that immigrants make America great and that everyone deserves a voice, and that I want to be able to do whatever I can. So the special topic for today is your U.S. citizen or resident spouse threatening to take your kids away? Now, if your spouse is the one with a status in the U.S. and you're without status, and every time you have a fight or occasionally they threaten that if you make a problem for me, they will take your kids away, and they'll not believe you, they'll believe me because I'm a U.S. citizen and I have all the rights, or they threaten to call the police on you and have the kids taken away from you. Well, this is a big problem to me. This is usually a sign that your spouse is trying to use your children as a ways of controlling you and a ways of making you stay fearful and compliant in the relationship. And if this is happening to you, then it's a signal to me, it's a sign to me that you qualify for VAWA and that you may probably be able to file this application for yourself in order to get a green card. Excuse me. And one of the things about VAWA is that you have to show that you have been subjected to extreme cruelty or battery in your relationship. Pardon me for a second, guys. Pardon me. Now, extreme cruelty is when your spouse is causing you to suffer emotionally. Emotional abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse, all these things are parts of what may make extreme cruelty in your case. And spouses who are U.S. citizens, who are married to an immigrant and who are trying to control them and make them be subject to this sort of fear are usually at the core of it using immigration status as a means of controlling the spouse. And if you're going through this and you're worried about going against your spouse's wishes, you're afraid of angering your spouse, you're afraid of doing things that make them unhappy because you're afraid that you might get deported, you're afraid that your children might get taken away from you, and you believe that you have no other option, no other hope, and you're just basically feeling trapped, you should give us a call, 212-248-7907. Let's see if we can help you file for a self-petition so that you can proceed on your own and find some sort of safety and stability and security in the U.S. without having to be dependent on your spouse. And trust me when believe me when I say this, anyone who is threatening to get your kids taken away or not let you see your kids, especially when you are the biological parent, this is a form of control. This is a form of them trying to get back at you and them trying to hurt you. And when you are an immigrant married to somebody who is doing this, well, then that means that you should give us a call, 212-248-7907. All right. Thank you. Hello, Shauna. Hello, Shauna Ava Bless. Nice to see you. I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions live right now. I have a question from Jonathan Rivera who's saying, what happens if you cross to the PEEP territory? I'm not too sure what that means. J12 USA. Hi. Zoheb. Hi. How are you? Our Road Life. Thank you so much. All right. Any idea how long it takes for EUR-29 to process, please? All right. So EUR-29, I believe, is the application to basically appeal and denial of an I-130. There's really no timeline for this. It could be anywhere from 6 months to a year to more than a year. There's really not really a posted processing time. But let's go back to this topic of what happens if your spouse is threatening to take your kids away from you. I'm going to explore something else that usually happens with people as well. What happens if you are in a marriage to a U.S. citizen or to a green card holder and they do things to make you scared, right? I had somebody else who posted earlier today that they woke up to see that there were some voodoo spells that their spouse was trying to cast around them. And I know that this sounds crazy probably to the most of us. However, if you are the sort of person who would be, who would feel so much fear at your spouse doing something like this, then that also means that your spouse is doing things to you besides that may be grounds for you to file for a self-petition. If you're living in a relationship in the same house with somebody who keeps trying to make you feel scared, who keeps trying to make you feel intimidated, to feel this sort of lack of control over your own life, then definitely you should see if you qualify for VAWA. Now, VAWA, again, is a case that is based upon a spouse of a U.S. citizen or a resident who is being subjected to extreme cruelty or battery. Extreme cruelty encompasses a whole lot of things. As I mentioned, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, gaslighting, financial abuse. You find yourself in a situation where your spouse is constantly forcing you to work, forcing you to make money, forcing you to turn over all your wages, pay for everything in the house. And you see that maybe sometimes, right after you get married, they quit their jobs. They quit their jobs all of a sudden, or they lose their jobs, but they never make any effort to get another job. And they're putting all the burdens of the household finances on you and making you, and they get mad if you don't give them money. Well, this is a sign of economic control. Economic control can also include basically if your spouse is forcing you to turn over your money, won't let you have access to the bank account funds, won't let you have access to the household finances. These are signs also of possibly extreme cruelty. So for a VAWA case, not only do you have to show that you have been the victim of extreme cruelty or battery, you also have to show that you have shared the same residence as your spouse. You have to show that you have lived in the same house as your spouse during the course of the marriage. And you also have to show that you and your spouse have married in good faith. In good faith means that your marriage must be real. Now, you may not have a lot of evidence because you don't have a social security number, you can't open up joint accounts, or you have been told, you've been told by your spouse that you only married me for papers. But that's just not true. You marry somebody in good faith when you have that intention of having a life together and of creating basically a family home. It doesn't matter if this is your second marriage, it's your first marriage, you're different, ages apart. A good faith marriage is one where you truly and honestly wanted to have a life together. A fake marriage is one where you pay somebody to get a green card. But just because you have the hope of getting a green card through a marriage does not make it a fake marriage, okay? These are some of the most basic requirements for VAWA. And the best thing about VAWA is that if you get approved, then you would be able to get a green card in the US without having to leave, subject to certain exceptions. And it's a wonderful tool for those who are trapped in these relationships where the spouse is not helping, the spouse refuses to turn over paperwork, the spouse is scaring you or intimidating you, okay? All right, let's see what other questions I have today. Natasha is saying, I have my green card through VAWA. How do I go ahead with NVC for my underage children in my home country? What form do I have to file? So Natasha, if you have your green card already, congratulations to you. You can actually file for an I-130 for your children to bring them back over here. And as long as they're minors, then you should be fine. Your children are in the category F2A. And this category is current right now. Make sure you get your I-130 filed. If you need our assistance, give us a call, 212-248-7907. Can you serve a civil suit for abuse separate from immigration proceedings? From Ifeani. Ifeani, I think you're talking about can you basically sue your abuser? Well, if your spouse has physically hurt you, then you can call the police on them. However, I don't know of any civil suit for emotional abuse or anything like that. If you do go through immigration proceedings, and you have been, let's talk about this. If you are in deportation proceedings and you're married to a U.S. citizen or to a resident and you have gone through extreme cruelty and or battery, then you may be able to ask for something called VAWA cancellation of removal. For VAWA cancellation of removal, it's a very, very good option for those who have no other relief and they qualify. That is what I would say. Shauna is saying, I filed my I-360 and I-485, but I mistakenly signed the interpreter's signature instead of applicant's signature. Will this be a problem in my application? Shauna, yes. If you and anyone else who is filing any application for immigration, if your application is not properly signed, meaning that you have left the signature page empty for the applicant, then it is probable that your case will get rejected and you'll have to file it a second time. Shauna, I hope you're not within the, a 2-year deadline on your case. All right. Bhavin Patel is saying, what kind of benefit can I get with a prima facie determination? Bhavin, if you and anyone else who gets a prima facie determination, a prima facie determination is actually a sort of letter that you get from immigration that says that you have established the basic eligibility for your case. It does not necessarily mean an approval, but when you get a prima facie determination through your VAWA application, it is a very great tool because you may be able to apply for certain healthcare benefits, housing benefits, and all sorts of things. These will vary state by state. You really have to check. You can look online. You can Google, VAWA prima facie determination eligibility benefits, and you can see what it says for your state. But that's usually what you can get. All right. Another question I have is, if I have a spouse who filed for me, but now they are no longer continuing with the case, what can I do? All right, well, if you have a spouse who has filed for your application, but they no longer want to help, then you may be eligible to file for VAWA, especially if you're going through all these, signs of control and manipulation and emotional torture in your relationship. Now, what I said before is the same, whether you have started your case already or whether you need to start your case. If you have a spouse who has helped you file, you've started the process together, but now you're just hesitant about continuing, or they're even telling that they no longer want to continue, then you may be able to file for VAWA. Give us a call, 212-248-7907. How long does the work permit take to arrive after a biometrics appointment? From Jessica. Jessica, the work permits will usually take about anywhere from 3 to 6 months after you give your fingerprints to get, depending on the category. What about a T visa case? From Ashruti Wari. Ashruti, a T visa case is really great for those who qualify for it. Now, let me explain about a T visa. T is usually for trafficking. You can think of it that way. Trafficking occurs when you're working somewhere where not only is your employer just constantly exploiting you with low wages, but they really keep you in a state of servitude in your work, meaning that you are working for someone who makes you fearful of not listening to them. They make you feel that you may, you'll get in trouble if you don't do what they say. They threaten immigration on you if you don't work. They force you to work without paying you, or you feel just completely, they keep you in work with deception, right? Like, for example, they may say, all right, keep working for me all this time, and then I'm going to help you get a green card, or I'm going to do all this and that. Basically, it's a set of false promises. When you are working for somebody who not just treats you badly, but they keep you working for them through the use of some sort of fear, force, or coercion, then you may qualify for a T visa. Now, a T visa is a great way to get a green card, when especially if you have no other options. One of the most important parts of a T visa, however, is you have to make a reporting. So I know there are actually a lot of people who are really afraid of their employers, which to me is a sign that it is truly a strong T visa case. When you're afraid of your employer, if your employer has threatened to hurt your family back home, if your employer has threatened to call the police on you. However, a reporting is necessary, and we can do reporting to various agencies such as FBI or the Department of Labor to help bring to light these sort of violations. But reporting is required, and once your application is made, if it gets approved, then you would be on a pathway to a green card. For my VAWA case, is my local office based on my address or my lawyer's address? From Ave Cash? Ave Cash, your I-485 interview is based upon your address. If a person lost a green card, can they ever get it back from MZ Boss Lady? Yes. If you ever lose your green card, you can file for a replacement. It's been 6 months since I submitted my I-485 biometrics. How much more time will it take for the work permit from Skylight Peace? Skylight Peace, if you are applying through the marriage joint process, your work permit will usually take between 10 to 11 months these days. I'm a citizen. My wife has involuntary deportation from 2014 and she never left. What's her chances for papers? KD90, definitely give us a call, 212-248-7907, and I'll take a look at their case. Can you help stop deportation while already underneath deportation proceedings? Once you are underneath deportation proceedings, you must continue with your case unless the judge says that your case is otherwise terminated. You cannot stop it in the middle. You have to go through the court and let them know what your relief is and let them know how you need to proceed. Do you know what year they're working on for U visas? I think they're working on 2017 right now. For the I-751 case, after biometrics taken, what happens? Okay, from Nusra. Nusra, once you file your I-751 and you get your biometrics taken, usually you are just waiting a very long time. You keep waiting a very long time because this case, the I-751 is usually taking about 1.5 to 2 years, maybe 2.5 years to process, especially if they are requiring an interview in your case. Now, what happens if you file the I-751 together with your spouse and during this process, your spouse is no longer wanting to help, they want to get divorced, maybe you have already divorced during this process. What are your options then? Well, no matter what, no matter whether you have filed the I-751 or you have yet to file it or your card has even expired, you can go ahead and file the I-751 with a waiver request for extreme cruelty and battery if you have been subjected to a very bad marriage with lots of problems where your spouse never wanted to help, where your spouse wanted to withdraw their help, or they made you feel like you were suffering and going crazy. Now, for extreme cruelty and battery, it is basically the same thing as a VAWA case where you have to show that you have gone through, extreme cruelty, which is usually emotional abuse, psychological harm, or physical battery. And physical battery, guys, is when you get physically hurt by your spouse. And you have to show that the marriage was made in good faith, all right? Give us a call. Just because you start your I-751 together with your spouse and they no longer want to help doesn't mean that you have to continue with the case, especially when they keep holding this case over your head. Because also, should they ask you to come for an interview and you don't show up to the interview with your spouse, your case will get denied unless you are able to file the amendment prior to that time. Marina is asking, am I Bangladeshi? Yes, I am. My mom has been here since the 2000s and my brother was born here. He is now 22. How long is the process? From S-Wexy. S-Wexy, if your mom has been here with a visa entry since the 2000s and your brother is now 22, then she is eligible to do the adjustment of status process through your brother, which is a usually straightforward process that takes about a year, more or less, depending on the state that you live in. However, if your mom entered without an entry and inspection, meaning they entered illegally, then it's a different situation. And we have to look at certain humanitarian visa types to see if they qualify for other case types that do not require a legal entry into the US, okay? But give us a call, 212-248-7907. I'm a US citizen and my 2 kids entered to the USA on parole. Can I apply for the US passport or citizenship? Saleh, I believe you need to apply for their residency first. Let's see. Caterino Aguilar is asking, do you know what month they're working on for the embassy in Ciudad Juarez? Caterino, I'm not actually sure of exactly what month. Fiance is going for interview for visa soon. They asked for online profiles, Facebook and Instagram for 3 years. There are no pictures together of us on our profiles. Do you think they will ask about it from tesoros of the past? Thesaurus of the past, this may very well be something that they ask about. If you're applying for a fiancé visa or an immigrant visa and they want to see all your social media, they're basically looking for proof of the relationship. Now, if there's no proof, that's not the worst. You can have a good explanation for it. But if there's contrary proof, like there's pictures of each of you with other people, then that would probably be a problem. I have a question. My brother was a U.S. citizen and he passed away, and he has a daughter in Pakistan. Any way to bring her to the U.S.? From BK4 Ali. BK4, Deb, it's a really sad situation, but unless your brother had an application started, then there's probably not much that can be done. What documents do I need to call my husband if I'm a U.S. permanent resident from Shruti? Shruti, it's the same as everything else. You need to have proof of the marriage and proof of the identities. All right. All right, one last question. Would you recommend getting married again while I-751 based on the first is still being processed from Ifeanyi? Ifeanyi, if you already have a green card, I recommend you do whatever you need to do to make, to have a good life. However, if you end up in removal, I don't know based upon what category you're filing for the I-751. I do know what I can say is that the I-751 waiver based upon extreme cruelty and battery does not require you to stay single or to not remarry. However, if you end up in court, if you end up in deportation, and if you need to file for an VAWA cancellation of removal, you can only do that if you have not remarried since the first marriage. So if you do get married while your I-751 is processing, I would say then, for now, it should not hurt you in any sort of way. I would say give us a call, 212-248-7907. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day. It was nice to see you all. Let me just bring one more. Let me just answer one more question. Are they still punishing parents in Ciudad Juarez for bringing DACA kids to the country? Elizabeth, yes, this is a very common problem. It is called smuggling. They're still making charges of smuggling against people. The good news for it is that, the bad news is that if they do find somebody guilty of smuggling at Ciudad Juarez, then their case is going to get denied, and they also have to apply for another waiver. But there usually is a waiver available. But hopefully it's not a problem. But if it is, just definitely give us a call. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day.